So today I'm going to be going through a key concept about incentives from Freakonomics by Levitt. Okay, so people use incentives to encourage or discourage people from doing something, which fall into three main categories. There's economic, which is where you would pay somebody to encourage behaviour and fine them to discourage it. There's moral, which is where you want to make people feel good to encourage behaviour and make them feel bad to discourage it. And finally there's social, which is where you want people to feel good or bad based on what other people think of them. We can use these incentives to motivate ourselves, motivate employees, and sell more. So, for example, to motivate ourselves to complete a project, we would have three main disincentives in order to do so. So for economic, you could think about the money lost from not completing a project, or you could think about the money that you haven't got in order to pay the rent because you didn't get the work done. So moral could be that you were disappointed in yourself for not getting the work done, and then on top of that, you're thinking about how you're one step closer to failure because you didn't do the work again. So again, it's all personal based motivation, personal based consequences. Finally, there's the social consequence. So in this one, you're thinking about how people perceive you as a result of not getting the work done. So for social, you could be thinking that people think you're lazy, and if the business ends up going under as a result, they'll think you're a failure. So again, it's like a negative motivation, so you use this in order to avoid the negative consequences. You could also use positive based motivations in order to encourage behaviour, which is also called incentives. So economic in this case is that you'll be thinking about how doing the work is earning you money, and how doing this would mean you can pay the rent or pay for any other materialistic based things you've got in mind. So moral, you could be thinking about how happy you would be with yourself for completing the work, and how you're one step closer to getting what you want. The social perception that you could gain from this is that people could think you're a grinder, and that people would look up to you if you succeed. So this is how you could use all these to motivate yourself, but you could also do a very similar thing with employees, like just point out all the negative and positive economic, social and moral motivations and consequences. You could also design your company around these, so people are more motivated. In order to use these incentives and disincentives to sell, you could do the following. So imagine you were trying to sell a pair of night trainers to someone using these techniques. So economic wouldn't really be applicable in this case, but if it was the kind of product that saved or made money, you'd point this out for the economic. For the moral, you would talk about how the trainers would make you feel. So you might say they would feel comfortable on your feet and help you feel good about progressing in your sport, like beating your time or winning in a competition. For social, you could say that others will think you're good at your sport and think of you as an athlete, or possibly even cool. For this example in the social, I think if you're sort of selling to adults, it may sound a little bit pushy and a little bit weird if you do it in the wrong way, so it'd probably be a bit more subtle with it all. The second part of the book talks about how sometimes incentives can backfire or cancel out each other at times. For example, in a study in daycare centres, economists were trying to reduce the number of parents arriving late to pick up their children. To accomplish this, they introduced the economic disincentive of fining the parents $3 if they arrive late. But rather than reduce the number of late pickups, they found it actually doubled them. Economists put this down to the small economic disincentive of $3 cancel out the moral disincentive and the social disincentive of feeling bad about arriving late and also looking bad. Parents were basically buying off their guilt by paying the $3 in order to not have the other two consequences. We can use this again when motivating ourselves and motivating others. So for example, sometimes paying employees a small bonus for getting Employee of the Month might cancel out the happiness they get from the social recognition or feeling pleased with themselves, i.e. moral incentive. So companies need to take this into account when designing their company structure. So next they go on to talk about how different people react differently to different incentives / disincentives. Some people would react really well to economic based incentives, such as avoiding getting fined or making more money, while others could care more about social based motivations, such as caring about what people think and getting recognition for their work. So again, you need to tailor the motivation scheme to suit each employee's needs. So overall I thought this was quite a good book. It should hopefully have given us an extra model to motivate ourselves and motivate other people. It's weird though, like for the social incentives, Like, the general consensus is that it's negative to care what people think and be motivated by what people think. But like, it's the sort of thing, you can use it as a competitive advantage. Like, if you're someone who does get motivated by that, design your life and think about that so you get more motivated. Like, I don't know why it's sort of this bad thing. I'm trying to use the social incentive by posting daily figures or weekly figures on my other YouTube channel, which is called Petepreneur. As stressful as it can be sometimes, like, it does still help me work more. Like, I just don't get why people sort of see that as a really bad thing. Like, oh, you can't care what people think. Guess what? You do, but who cares? Use it. So to use this information, you could write down your economic, moral and social motivations and repeat it to yourself every day, so you're reminded of it and it sticks in your head. What I'm going to do is have like short-term based economic, moral and social based goals, and also long-term, so you've got both working together so you can stay more motivated and more driven. So lots of this book I've actually edited around, like, to make it suit what I'm saying here, but like, hopefully it's useful to you guys, and I'll eventually get better at doing this. Like, at the moment, this information is too linear for me to sort of process that easily. I'm more of a sort of lateral thinker, or disproportionately lateral, so I can't even do this that easily. But hopefully you guys will like this, and again, hopefully it's useful to you. Please like, subscribe, do the rest of all that sort of normal stuff, and sort of comment anything. Literally, it helps the SEO. So just say like, hey, or whatever, so it'll help the SEO, help rank this video better. Oh yeah, sorry, could you hit that bell as well? Like, they're sort of making it so in order to get every video upload, you've got to hit that bell. I won't spam you, don't worry. I'll sort of like put a video out once every week or so, and yeah, go out and kill it.